Hello, welcome to PUTINWORKTV. We've enjoyed watching your journey as an artist slash creator in the New England scene. Our focus here is allowing our guests to tell their stories front and center without judgment or opinion. So let's dive straight the fuck in. What's your name? What do you do? And thank you for coming to PUTINWORKTV and putting in work.
Of course, thank you. So my name is Yelena. Last name Rodriguez. My artist name is Yelena. I'm a Latin R&B soul artist based in Boston, but I grew up in Florida. And I'm Cuban Dominican.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up? Where are you from and where are you from?
So like I said, I was born in Boston, but I grew up in Florida, Cape Coral, Florida to be exact. I would say, music was always around me as a kid. My father's Cuban, my mother's Dominican, so a lot of Latinos I feel like can relate to Sundays. It's the day of cleaning, cooking. Parents have music, blasted and stuff with like different types of music, which was bachata, merengue, whichever.
You know how to dance?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So growing up, I felt like, like I said, I always had music around me. I didn't have such a easy childhood growing up.
Explain that.
Like my parents didn't have the perfect relationship. It was pretty toxic at times. I know some people can relate, most people could probably relate to that. So that kind of made me learn a lot of, like, made me realize, but also kind of brought my relationship with music closer. Because whenever I, was having a tough time with them, or they were having a tough time, I would say I would always be writing. But my reason to why I love music so much was because of my father. He was the one that put me on, to music, I would say. And he's the person that put me on to Selena, who's one of my greatest inspirations. So
Great artist, by the way. Amazing artist.
yes, she is.
How did music alter and impact your life? I know you said that you always had music around you. Your dad was a great inspiration, and you got pride from seeing all these Latin artists be successful and being able to do things as a woman and being able to reach, levels and heights in the music industry that not everyone gets to. So how did it impact your life to the point where it's like, I want to make this what pays my bills every day?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I feel like when it comes to music, is my goal isn't to just be famous. It's also to be able to utilize the platform, the fame, whatever it is, to help others get to the same place I am, or at least give a voice to others, because I feel like growing up, like I said, I'm an only child, so growing up, I was always seeing a lot of things on TV, magazines, stuff like that, and I always looked up to the artists that that I truly love, like their music and stuff. And so sometimes I felt inspired by what kind of things they would do or how they would help their own communities.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the biggest thing I always wanted to do, especially, at least I feel like in this world we all have a purpose. I feel like my purpose is not only music, but I feel like my purpose is to help people in some sort of way, utilizing music in some sort of way. And I feel like growing up, I admired seeing the artists or even people who weren't in music, who they try to do everything they could to help their community, especially being a Latino, who, if you have parents who were immigrants, not just Latinos, but if you know how hard it is, to have parents who are immigrants and how much they, they did coming to this country, how much hard work they had to put into to give you the things that they, they tried to give you, or the things that they did to, to support you in any way. And I admired, seeing people who have similar background to me that, helped those who came to this country to get what they wanted, especially those who, like, unfortunately had parents who, had to be deported due to different reasons. Like my father is someone who he's not able to, travel outside of the country because due to his immigration situation, so that's just something where, like, with everything that I've seen, everything that, I learned as a kid, it just really made me feel like, that I just really want to inspire people. Like, I want to do what I can in this lifetime to help people, to inspire them, to lift them up, because that makes me happy. You know, like it really, and I want to like try to help people to always feel like they're strong. Like no matter what situation you've been in, no matter the things that you've seen growing up, or even now as you're getting older and you're starting to learn about yourself, I want to be able to help people recognize their strengths, their worth, their beauty. Because that's the biggest thing that I went through as a kid was trying to figure out, you know, beauty. Like, you know, just realizing that just because society says that, you know, you have curly hair, that you're not beautiful, that's not true. Or just because society says that you're on the curvy side or plus size, that you're not beautiful, that's not true. Like, I really want, with what I'm doing for, you know, myself or being an artist, I really want to be able to help people in any sort of way that I can.
Most definitely. I think that was a great answer. How does it spill into your music? All that passion, all that want to help the people, to help the world, to impact others' lives around you. How does that spill into your music? You know, what does your discography look like?
Well, I feel like when it comes to all my music, I mean, people will say a lot of it is about love, but the only reason being is because I feel like in the songs, I definitely would say they're very powerful. I know I've been told by people that I have a very powerful voice, but I feel like right now where I'm at, I still haven't utilized how powerful my voice is. And honestly, that's something that I'm working on, is utilizing, you know, my voice as much as I can, or release the power that I have within me. Um, but you know, my music, I guess I could say, you know, I do talk a little bit about like feeling beautiful, or you know, wanting to be loved, or and and also a little bit of strength. I feel as well too. But I hope to continue to do that as I release, you know, more music, of course.
So, what do you try to give your audience with your music? Like, do you want them to feel like, yo, you just experienced a Latin artist for the first time and heard some shit you ain't never heard before? Or, you know, you use words in a way, some people tell you have a powerful voice, you might make somebody emotional because they listen to you. Or, you know, they just had a heartbreak and now you're the one keeping them sane. Like, what do you try to give them with your music? Because I think it's important for an artist to know why they're doing what they're doing. And even if it's for yourself, you got to know that when you put out music, the world owns it now. Because at any point in time, somebody can go into their phone and listen to you regardless of how you felt at the time when you released it. So what do you try to give them?
I think it's emotion. Like, I want, when people listen to my music, I want them to kind of feel like comfort with listening to my music. Like you said, if they're going through something in that moment while listening, I want to be like, oh, like this is really helping me right now. Because we all know that one artist or song that we can listen to, and in that moment we may be feeling so terrible, and once we listen to it,
it's over.
We feel 10 times better, you know. And in a way, that music, that song or that music kind of helped us escape. And that's what I want. Like, I want people, and this is the same too when I'm performing, I want people to feel what I'm singing about. But I also want it to be in a way where they, you know, it's really helping them in a sense. It's making them feel strong. It's making them feel good, you know, making them feel better and all. Like, that's what I want people to feel when they listen to my music, even if they don't understand the lyrics, or, you know, because I have songs that are in Spanish, and then I have songs that are in English. So the songs in Spanish, if you don't know how to speak Spanish, I at least want you to
feel the vibe,
emotion, feel the vibe, feel the energy, you know.
Who were some of your greatest influences as a young woman growing up?
Selena was one of them. My next one I would say was Christina Aguilera.
Oh yeah. She got a lot of good tracks. That just put a smile on your face, just saying her name, for sure.
Yeah, she does. Her and Selena, they're one of my like top two. And then the next one I would say, you know, there's many others, but there's Shakira. There's, you know, Jennifer Lopez. And Toni Braxton.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay, so you got a diverse music taste, but the bag is deep. The bag is deep. Yeah, so what's your process of creating? Because it takes everybody a certain process to actually make music, and then even if it's different every time, you know, we really want to know, like, how is it you get from step one to this is the song you just listened to, and what did you learn about yourself after seeing your creative process work? And sticking to that?
I mean, I've learned that when it comes to songwriting, I don't really have like a whole huge process. Like, excuse me, there's been times where like I will find like a beat, right? And I'll just start humming to it or something. And within 2 or 3, 5 minutes, I write a song once I listen to it, once I listen to the beat. And then there's other times too where like, I have a beat in my head, so then I start to write the lyrics to the beat in my head. And then I try to find something similar, and then boom, I do. And it just works out that way. And it's always kind of spontaneous, it's never like I sit down like every single day and I'm writing songs. Like it just happens in the moment. There's been times where like a song has came into my mind while I'm driving, and I had to stop like on the side of the road
You did
because
that
I
for
didn't
real?
want to. Yeah, because I didn't want to lose the idea.
Tell us the story where that happened, where it's like you're in the midst of doing something, and it was the inspiration was so crazy, like you had to stop everything you was doing so you wouldn't forget about it.
Yeah, it's happened many times. Like I said, there was one time I was driving and I forget what song I was listening to in the moment, but I started to think about something and I started to think of a song about what I was thinking about, and I was like, kind of creating making up a beat to what I was like the song I had in my mind, and I was on the highway, so I was like, oh, I don't want to lose this idea, so I literally just stopped on the side of the road, on the highway, just so that I could, what's it called, record myself using like the voice memo app on
Yeah.
iPhones, just so I couldn't forget. And I've done that many times. Especially the same thing happened too when I would like was taking a shower. I don't know what it is, but every time I'm in the shower, ideas come like one after another. I don't know what it is. So there's been times where I'll stop, taking a shower, grab my phone, recorded myself on the voice memo, and then once I, like recorded all the ideas and stuff, then I'll go back to finish my shower.
So you'll stop the water from running, get out the shower, record yourself, hop back in that bitch like nothing happened.
Yeah.
That's I think that's beautiful. Cause like you, the shower's a place where you go to clean yourself, but like for you, it's creation of ideas. Like that to me is so crazy. What motivates you the most? Like what's that thing that's like, I want to do this forever, and this is the thing that's keeping me going.
What motivates me the most, I feel like, is whenever I just see all the other artists that have inspired me, how they got to where they are. Like Selena's one person. I feel like like I said, she has always inspired me as a kid. She's the reason why I love music, why I love to sing. And whenever I listen to her story, despite the fact that she was, murdered, unfortunately, um, I just always think about all this stuff that she could have done, or what she was going to do if her life didn't end so short, and that pushes me more. And then when I listen to other artists, stories like Beyonce or Rihanna, and like how they got to where they were, and how they went through so many struggles. They didn't have money at times. They, this is like just in general, like not them specifically, but other artists that I've listened to their stories. They didn't have a lot of money at times. They were living on someone's couch. They did all the things they could to get to where they are. That pushes me.
Most def.
Especially on the days where I'm having so many doubts, or like this year specifically. Um, there are many times where I felt like I didn't want to live anymore. To be honest, like, and it's very tough to say, so it's kind of triggering to say if whoever is watching, but there were many times this year where I really felt like I wanted to give up on myself because of things I was going through. And so what I would do on those days or weeks that I felt that way, I would watch interviews by all these bunch of artists, whether it was Selena or even Russ. He's one artist I always like to listen to his interviews because, a lot of things he says is really like is real, and it just inspires me to keep going. No matter like the doubts I end up having, no matter like I said the weeks that I had where I felt like I really wanted to give up. I didn't want to be in this world. I just kept reminding myself as I would watch these people, these interviews, of why it's best for me to keep going or why I came into this world. The one thing that helps me is this is probably, I don't know, this is not stupid, but
say it anyways.
My parents, when I was dealing with a lot of stuff this year, and I would tell my parents how mentally I didn't really feel okay. My mom one time said to me, I didn't plan. Your pregnancy was planned. Like I was struggling to have kids when me and your father like first, got together, married and everything. And the fact that God gave me you, that made me feel so happy. And so when I hear you say that you no longer want to be in this world, it breaks my heart because you were planned.
Mm-hmm.
You were meant to come into this world.
So how could you give up on yourself? And I think that's beautiful. I think the courage to be able to come here and say something that brings up a lot of emotion you want is honorable, and I think everyone sees that. And number two, personally, I think that's strong because if you don't get to the point where you feel like you've been pushed to your limit during your journey, you haven't walked a difficult path. You haven't walked a path that's going to make you the best version of yourself.
Right.
Because in hindsight, in 10 years, if you didn't have those times, your mental fortitude wouldn't be the same. Your emotional strength wouldn't be the same. Your awareness towards the world wouldn't be the same. So it's almost like, I always like to say, the worst thing that happens to you is usually the best thing if you can get past the worst part. Because you always look back, and some wealthy people say this too, the best part of having money is remembering the time when they didn't have money and see how much they can access, how much of life they can live compared to how bad they really were doing. You know, because people don't see them sleepless nights. They don't see them nights where you do want to give up yourself. You hate everything and nothing's working. But they're going to see you, win awards. They're going to see you be successful.
And that's literally what not to cut you off, because everything you're saying is it's very powerful. I want to say that. But that was something I commented on when I won the Latin Artist of the Year.
And speak on that.
Last Wednesday. My father was with, so both my parents came and a cousin of mine. Unfortunately, my mom and my cousin had to leave early before they announced the winner for Latin Artist of the Year because my mom had to work that night.
And this was where? The Boston Music Awards?
Yeah, Boston Music Awards at Big Night Live. And my father ended up staying. And so when I won, one thing my dad said to me that night was like, look at all those people that came up to you to congratulate you. My hope is that those people will still be there on those days that you want to give up. Because people are going to always be there for you
when you win.
When you're winning. But my hope is for you that those people will still be there when you feel like there's nothing else, or you feel like you want to give up, or you feel like you're losing. That's my hope. Is what he said to me.
And that's stuck with you.
And it did stick with me. And that's the one thing people I feel like in this industry always talk about. Or it's just a life thing where when you're winning, people always tend to be around you. When you're losing, there's very few people that are there.
And those are the people you make sure stick by your side when you win again.
Exactly. And that was one thing I made a post about on my story on Instagram. Because it really, like you said, it stuck with me because there's a lot of people that don't realize the mental battles that I had this year. And I don't talk about them that much, and eventually I will, but it's just I talk about it because I know there's people out there, especially artists myself, who have gone through the same thing. And with the Latin Artist of the Year, the one thing I kind of felt bad about at times is that there was people that were questioning why did she get it? Or why was I nominated?
By the way, congratulations, real life. And I want to touch on that. How did it make you feel to know that Latin Artist of the Year, it's not of the month, it's not of the week, it's not of the day, the entire year, 365 days, coupled with the mental battles, the life experiences, the setbacks, the L's that you thought were L's at the time, but really led you to the big win. In the end, all in all, did you feel accomplished? Did you feel like you had more work to do? Was it finally everything you deserved? Does it satisfy you in the way it's supposed to when you see that award and you see your name? Just describe that, because I think that's a great accomplishment, and I think that enough people don't congratulate themselves. They don't treat themselves, and also it's very important to hear that. You can look at yourself in the mirror, and you can know something in your head and be like, damn, I'm a bum, I'm lazy, I'm not doing enough. But until you verbalize, until you say it to yourself, until you break the fact that you're not lying to yourself and you're telling yourself the truth, you really won't believe it. Like, you are an amazing person. No, I'm not. You are an amazing person. I mean, how could I be? I did. You are an amazing person. By the third or fourth time they hear it, they're like, am I? Really? Yeah. Because it takes those layers you got to break through to really believe something. So was it everything you ever imagined?
To be honest, It wasn't, but in a good way. I didn't expect for all this to happen. And what kind of made me feel sad at times was when I was told that I was nominated, that some people that were close to me were saying that there are people coming to them questioning why was I nominated. And then I started to ask myself, so am I not doing enough? Is my music not good enough?
Doubt.
Doubt started to come in. And that didn't help because, like I said, I was, since not the beginning of this year, but since last year around winter time, my mental health battles started to happen, I guess you could say.
They started to hinder your life.
They started to hinder my life, and it started to get worse as the year went on.
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of people don't know that. So when I was hearing stuff like that, it kind of just started making me question myself. It started making me question my music. Because I know from where we come from in this state, a lot of the music that's popular is very hip-hop based, right? Which is great. But at the same time, that's where sometimes I would doubt myself because I'm like, oh, well, a lot of the people, who are well known in this state or city, a lot of them listen to hip-hop. So maybe my music isn't good. Maybe I'm not a good singer. Maybe like I started to like have this spiral of doubts like come in all the time, every single day. And I'm someone, like you just spoke now, you kind of like mentioned it, like affirmations. I'm someone that does affirmations. I'm someone that believes in manifestations. And so I always try to tell myself every day, no, Yelena, we are a great artist. Yelena, we're a Latin R&B, we're an international Latin R&B soul artist. We're known around the world. Like I would say affirmations like that to myself because, for it to help me. But with hearing things like that and with how my mental was, it didn't help. And so with the nomination, I was very grateful of it. But I did question myself. I did question, am I worth of that nomination? Because when it comes to this music scene, being in this music scene specifically, I haven't been doing music for long. I've sang since I was 7, but I started my music career, we'll say, like 2019. I would say last year is when I started to get noticed by certain people because of the way I was moving. So that's most likely why I was nominated. But at the same time, like, I just really asked myself, like, am I worth for that nomination? Because there's people on there who've been doing this for so long, and they're known by their community.
Well, it's
and
not.
I'm just starting to get known. Like these. I'm telling you, these are the thoughts I started to get. Started to think to myself, and when I would talk to my close friends about it, they're like, Yelena, you need to stop thinking like that.
Yeah, you do.
You need to stop devaluing yourself in a way. You need to recognize that you've been working hard. You need to recognize that your music is good and that the fans will come. Just because you live in a state where, Latin music or R&B is not the most popular, but it is music people like, it don't mean that you're not going to be successful. It don't mean that you're not worth an award like that. And I had to tell myself that every day. I'm telling you, it was a mental battle.
Against yourself, for real. And clearly you're worth it because you won the award. You're humble about it. You're grateful for it. And you're here at PUTINWORK TV. You wouldn't be here for no reason. And I think your story is one that somebody can look at and aspire to, be motivated by, because here in front of you is a winner, but yet as she's a winner, she went through all these things. She just told you that she didn't always feel the best, and yet you won the award. So it's like, that's life right there. Somebody who could be dying inside could still be putting out work that's worth an award, that's worth recognition, that's worth admiration, and yet inside they have so many things they got to deal with that, it all becomes challenges.
Yeah.
But it's how you respond to it, and I think you responded very well.
Thank you.
How does your personal life and your creative process interfere?
Well, I just mentioned it now. It's the doubts.
Most
Sometimes
definitely.
The doubts kind of come into play, but what I've been trying to do is no matter the doubts, honestly, the doubts never stopped me to write music. I've been trying to really journal my thoughts so that, if there's something that I said, I could just turn that into a song. And I'm learning how to figure out how to sing about the doubts that I'm having, and to not be scared to talk about how I'm feeling inside, because that's something I felt like I struggled a lot this year with, because I was embarrassed at times of the mental health battles I was having. I'm the type of person where, like, I always like to seem that I'm okay, and I kind of get nervous talking to people about what I'm truly feeling, because I worry about putting so much of my problems onto someone. And I'm really huge on energy. Like, I'm an empath, so if people don't know, for those who don't know what an empath means, is like you're someone that can easily take on the energy of other people, whether it's positive or negative. So I'm very huge on knowing how to speak to people, or knowing how to express myself to someone, just so that they don't take on to what I'm feeling. So there were times where, like, when I was really feeling down, or feeling I wanted to give up, I didn't want to tell a friend of mine that, or even like a partner that I was with who saw all of that. I felt bad that they had to see me go through all those things, or see me in that place, because I didn't want them to feel that way, you know? So I'm in a place right now where I'm really pushing myself to utilize songwriting, of how to express myself and how to really put that in my music, and not feel ashamed for how I was feeling, or not feel ashamed, which again, this is triggering, to say in a song like, oh, I really felt like I wanted to end my life at times, you know? So, yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Most definitely. Yeah, I think I'm getting very strong, passionate, and emotional answers at the same time. Most people can't go into themselves as that deeply and be okay enough to let everybody know they felt that. You know, because at the end of the day, shame is a big part of why we never push past anything or heal anything, because shame is one of the most excruciating emotions to feel.
And pride.
You know, when you're ashamed of yourself, ashamed of what you look like, ashamed of how you feel, ashamed of your content, nothing moves, because you're the judge, jury, executioner already. I like to ask this question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? But I like to switch it up and say, what do you see yourself becoming? Coming off of a big win, Latin Artist of the Year, coming off of overcoming all these battles and these challenges you've had since last year, and really started taking it serious, and also being Latin yourself, you know, and breaking the mold and coming out R&B and not doing, you know, music the way everybody else is doing, not looking for certain corners, markets, like corners of the market, talking about death, violence, guys, toxicity, all that extra stuff. So, you know, where do you see yourself taking it in 5 years? What do you become? What does Yelena become?
I feel like in 5 years, I'm going to be becoming what I was meant to become.
Most
I
definitely.
feel like I'm definitely going to be inspiring a lot of people. I'm going to be working with a lot of people. I'm going to be, obviously, a lot of music will be out by then. A lot of music. Most likely a lot of awards, a lot of connections, traveling around the world, connecting with so many people, talking to people about so many different things, whether it's about self-worth. My hope one day, to be honest, is to be able to do a TED Talk. You know?
On what? What would you do a TED Talk on?
Honestly, I feel like I would do it on mental health battles. Yeah, or that, or probably talk about how to tap into your divine feminine. Ooh. So one of those.
Free game. Don't say nothing. Free game. Just wait till you see her on the TED Talk. And what about New England? What can New England achieve in the next 5 years? In terms of the art scene, creative scene, music scene, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like New England has a great potential for the music scene to become very well known. I feel like if we continue to work together and we continue to promote each different genres as much as we can, because my hope is, as a Latin artist, being from New England, I want to be able to help all the other artists who are in my genre and outside to find ways to, like, for us to
push,
help our community, and also push and to be able to showcase our true talents and our capabilities as people, not just artists, but as people, and be able to create an impact. The biggest thing I want to do in this lifetime is to leave a legacy and to create an impact. And so on the grand scale of things, I really hope as my career goes on, I really hope that eventually I'll be leaving a legacy.
Like you've left a mark.
Exactly.
Most definitely. So thank you so much, Yelena, for coming to Studios, PUTINWORK TV, coming here, telling them a great story, being raw and uncut, just like we asked you to. Latin Artist of the Year, R&B on the way, If there's any projects coming out, if there's anybody you want to shout out, tell your peoples right now.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Of course, yeah. So right now I'm gonna be working on an EP which will be released next year, springtime, March, hopefully. As well too, I did drop a new single called Diabla, available on all platforms, as well a music video, can find that on YouTube. And yeah, and I'll be continuing to, have a lot of shows coming up next year. I would love to give a huge shout out to my family. I appreciate you guys. I'm very grateful. Y muy agradecida, por ustedes. Thank you for everything. I really want to shout out my friends, my supporters, my fans. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. There's so many of you to name, but y'all know who you are. So I really, really am grateful and appreciate you guys so much. And I really want to give a huge shout out, to Lord above, who's always there for me and to give me a gift that, I can utilize to showcase to the world and help the world in any way that I can. So
Let's get it. Put in work TV.